As St. James Park erupted in celebration, Arsenal's players sank to the turf. Their Champions League hopes are not mathematically over yet, but the despondent reaction which greeted the final whistle on Monday night said it all. Arsenal know the chances of Tottenham slipping to defeat against relegated Norwich on the final day are slim in the extreme. And even if they do, their own performance against Newcastle does not exactly augur well for their hopes of overcoming Everton. "We had nothing in the game," Mikel Arteta told Sky Sports afterwards. Granit Xhaka went further. "We didn't deserve to be on the pitch," he said. "What happened was a disaster performance. It is a disappointing end to a once promising season." Arteta's side looked on course to achieve a top-4 finish after securing a 4th consecutive win against Leeds earlier in the month, but the North London derby was always likely to be pivotal, and so it has proved. The back-to-back defeats to Spurs in Newcastle have left supporters to digest what has gone wrong. Newcastle 2-0 Arsenal. Match report and highlights. Xhaka on teammates. "If you're nervous, stay at home." Kara. "I fear for Arteta, Nev. I never trusted them. Lack of experience and quality." Xhaka's outspoken interview prompted an angry reaction from some, but his comments were largely accurate. Arsenal did not show up at St. James Park. The pressure of the situation told. It could be seen as early as the first few minutes of the game, when Aaron Ramsdale lost his footing repeatedly, setting the tone for Arsenal's nervous performance in and out of possession. The manner of the defeat provided more ammunition for those eager to put Arsenal's costly slump down to mental fragility, but more likely is that it is a symptom of their youthfulness. Arsenal are the youngest team in the Premier League this season, and their form is streaky as a result. They are able to build up momentum when confidence is flowing after a victory, but find it difficult to recover swiftly from setbacks. It can be seen in games such as the last two. Arsenal have only won 4 points from losing positions over the course of the season, the fewest in the Premier League along with bottom side Norwich. And it can be seen in the pattern of how their season has unfolded. Games are rarely won or lost in isolation. That's why Thursday's defeat to Tottenham, with only 2 games of the campaign remaining, was always likely to prove costly. But it is not just a question of experience. Arsenal have fallen short because of a lack of quality too. It is painful given the position they had got themselves into, but should it really come as a surprise that an Arsenal team which last night featured players such as Cedric Soares, Nuno Tavares, Mohamed Elneny, Eddie Nketiah, Alexander Lacasse and Nicolas Pepe should fail to secure a Champions League finish? Since February, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane have plundered 24 Premier League goals between them for Tottenham. In the same time frame, Bukayo Saka is Arsenal's top scorer with only 5. It is little comfort to Arsenal supporters now, but the reality is this young side had been punching above its weight in 4th place. The question is whether more could have been done to address their shortcomings before reaching that point. January gamble backfires. The irony of Bruno Guimaraes' goal in the Gunners' defeat at Newcastle will not be lost on Arsenal supporters. The Brazilian midfielder was heavily linked with a move to North London in the January transfer window, but Arsenal opted against signing him, or anyone else for that matter. With Champions League football there for the taking, Arsenal's lack of investment was seen as a huge gamble at the time, and it is a gamble that has not paid off for Arteta and his side. It's not just incomings, though. Arsenal let 6 first-team squad players leave in the January transfer window either on loan with a view to a permanent deal, or by contract termination. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Callum Chambers, Pablo Mari and Ainsley Maitland-Niles were among those to depart the Emirates Stadium. On first look, they were all players struggling for form or game time, but the departures left Arteta's squad threadbare. Arsenal players looked dejected after the defeat to Newcastle. In contrast, Tottenham signed Juventus pair Rodrigo Bentancur and Dejan Kulusevski on loan, and they have been a huge part of the turnaround in Antonio Conte's side's fortunes. You can also look at Newcastle, who added significantly to their squad with 5 new arrivals, including Guimaraes, as they pulled well clear of relegation. Following the defeat at Newcastle, Arteta was forced to defend his side's January business. "We have done what we can, and with what we were allowed to do. What we could do and the resources we had from the start of the season. The team that we were able to build is what we were able to build, and it's the team that has taken us all the way here." Of course, Arteta is going to defend the decisions Arsenal took in January, but the reality is the failure to strengthen has come back to haunt them. Arteta's depleted squad ran out of steam. Injuries expose lack of depth. Injuries did not help. Arteta's side struggled all over the pitch against Newcastle, but the issues were particularly pronounced in midfield, where El Neni, Xhaka and Martin Odegaard. We were dominated by Joelinton, Guimaraes and Sean Longstaff. Xhaka and El Neni were physically overrun by the Newcastle trio, and, when they did manage to get hold of the ball, they were unable to work it forward. By the end, they had made 81 passes between them, but only 6 to Odegaard and only 5 to Nketiah. How different it might have been with Thomas Partey in the side. The Ghanaian rated his performances at 4 out of 10 in an interview with Sky Sports in December, but he was instrumental in their upturn in form between February and April, and Arsenal's record with and without him underlines his importance to the side. Thomas Partey has missed nearly half of Arsenal's games this season. Partey is excellent both in and out of possession when anchoring Arsenal's midfield, but injuries have been a problem ever since his arrival from Atletico Madrid. His latest setback, during last month's 3-0 loss to Crystal Palace, has proved particularly costly. Arsenal were able to get back on track without him initially, reviving their top 4 hopes with an unlikely run of 4 consecutive wins which started against Chelsea, but there is nobody in the squad like Partey, and the drop in quality eventually showed. The same can be said of Arsenal's full-backs. The Gunners lost Kieran Tierney days before Partey's injury, and his absence has proved similarly damaging, with the lack of an able deputy forcing Arteta to recalibrate his entire backline. Arsenal's Emile Smith-Rowe challenges Newcastle's Callum Wilson. The long-awaited return of Takahiro Tomiyasu provided a boost, but only a temporary one. His lack of fitness was clear to see before he was forced off against Newcastle on Monday night, and, like Nuno Tavares on the opposite side, his replacement, Cedric Soares, was once again found wanting at key moments. Tomiyasu and Tierney's injury problems have been such that Arsenal have only been able to start their first-choice full-backs together in 10 out of 37 Premier League games all season. It is hardly surprising they have struggled as a result. Just look at how Chelsea's title challenge fell away when they lost Reece James and Ben Chilwell to injury, but it still shines a light on the lack of depth in Arteta's squad, further highlighting the need for significant strengthening this summer. Smith. Arsenal heading in right direction. Former striker Alan Smith, who was on co-commentary duty for Sky Sports at St James Park, believes a 5th-placed finish would still represent progress for. If you had offered them 5th place at the start of the season, I am sure they would have taken it, having finished 8th in each of the last 2 years, he told Sky Sports News. Europa League qualification is by no means a failure. I still think it's a step forward. Of course, it's not in the tournament they want to be in. But as West Ham have shown us, it can be a great competition. Alan Smith feels Arsenal have a bright future under Mikel Arteta. It is a drain on your resources, and that's why they need to add to their squad. But I don't think there's any reason to be getting too down. I think they will make signings this summer. Not having Champions League football, of course, sometimes affects the quality of those signings, but they can and will bring in players who will deepen the quality, because that came home to roost last night. The squad is certainly not big enough, and when you're calling on fringe players, they can get found out. That's the next step for Arteta, I think, to give himself more choices and better quality choices. But I think the future is bright. It's a young team, and it's only going to get better. With the right additions, that can help them on their way.